what's happening, Roland? Well, that's the weekly update. Now I'm going to tell you what's happened. This shoulder that I had operated on, it's been through over 3 weeks now. And it's really, I thought it was on the mend, and so I went fishing the other day. And I tell you what, I made a big mistake because I really haven't got my shoulder back in shape yet. What I started off doing, I started off taking this big old, I went to one of the rock pits, and one of the best ways, the water's a little cool right now, had some cold fronts, and I took this chatterbait. It's a 3/4 ounce chatterbait with a Zaco tail. I run it on 17-pound fluorocarbon in this case, and I knew I'd catch a big fish because that was just such a big deal. So I'm making some long casts, and my shoulder was kind of bothering me, and anyway, I didn't get bit. I said, well, okay, that's the thing. When you pattern fish, and you haven't fished in a long time, I haven't fished in a month or so, you don't always know what the patterns are. I hadn't talked to anybody, nobody else is fishing out there. So it was just, I had to go through a bunch of different repertoires of different lures and different baits and different patterns to find something that might work. Well, okay, I put this down. And then I said, okay, I said, well, I think I picked up, no, maybe a worm. No, I don't know what I did. Let's see, I think I did. I think I picked up this little wacky worm. And I threw the little wacky worm in there. It's got a little O-ring. And bam, 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 a couple small little bass, kind of not very big. And I said, well, that's not good enough, because what I want to show is I want to show how to catch big fish this time of year, and there's some big fish to be caught. And that lake has some 5 and 6 and 7 pound bass. Well, I didn't catch any there on that thing, so I said, well, maybe I'll throw the whopper plopper. You know, you throw this whopper plopper, and this you've seen me catch so many monster bass all over the state of Florida the last year, and I run it on a big old flipping stick, and I'm running on a 65-pound braid. Actually, it's a flipping setup, just because it's such a heavy plug. And I started taking this lure that's heavy now, and I'd throw the heck out of it. Well, right away after 3 or 4 casts, boy, my shoulders start hurting. Whew, son. I said, this isn't a good deal. Whopper plopper fishing is a little bit too strenuous for me right now, my delicate condition with my shoulder kind of just having an operation. So I made a half a dozen casts of whopper plopper. I said, no, this is not a good deal. Okay. Then what I did is I said, well, maybe I can throw something slow and easy like a frog. So I came over with a bunch of lily pads, and I came over and I really haven't caught anything. I'm trying to figure out what's going on. So I pick up a frog, and let's face it, folks, you've seen me catch so many fish on the Spro frog all over the state of Florida. This is the Popper 60, and I got the oversized hooks on it, and I got 50-pound braid, and I started throwing it in the lily pads. It wasn't such a bad deal because I was fishing it slow, and even that was a little bit of a strain casting like I did, but I didn't get bit on the frog. Okay, I'm still thinking, well, if the water temperature is up around 73 or 74 degrees, it's not too bad. They ought to hit a topwater. It's kind of overcast. You know, that's just a thought of mine. I mean, it's a pattern thought. You know, it doesn't always work. I wrote a book, Roland Martin's 101 Bass Catching Secrets. I wrote it years ago. It's all about different patterns. So when I go fishing, I did like I did the other day. I try different things, and I'm thinking about water temperature, and I'm thinking about the season of the year, and a whole bunch of pattern information like that. So anyway, I said, well, maybe, just maybe, you'll see me catch so many bass on this devil's horse. This devil horse is, by the way, this isn't just a standard devil's horse. I got the new EWG hooks on it, and these are really super duper hooks. Okay, that's one thing. Also, I went in the front of it, and I put a longer screw eye in there. I also super glued some of these other screws in place, because one thing that will happen if you get a really big fish on it, the plug can kind of pull apart. It could, if say 2 big fish hit it or something like that. But anyway, then I threw it on some leader. This is some 20-pound monofilament, and actually I have it just tied with a good knot. And I was explaining the knot the other day. There's really a couple knots that are just so essential, and that is this braid to a leader knot, and that's what we call the double uni. And I was explaining all about how to tie the double uni. It's such a great knot, and it's so easy to tie. Everybody says, well, the FG knot's stronger. Well, it might be a % stronger, but it takes me 2 or 3 times as long. And here's the problem with an FG knot. If you're not a knot expert, you're going to have a hard time tying it. Only the experts, the really super duper experts, can tie it 100% good. When somebody like me that's not 100% expert at the FG knot, I've tied them and had them loosen up a little bit and they'll fail. So you have to tie it just exactly right. And I don't know if I have it all down pat as far as how to tie the FG knot. Everybody that I've talked to that's tried it, so many people have some failures because they're not tying it right. It's just such a difficult knot to me. So I don't use that knot. I use the double uni. Is so easy, I can tie it in the dark. And then for the other connection I was talking about the other day is I use the Palomar knot. You know, with the double, you double the line, go through the eye, take the lure through the big loop, and it's a Palomar knot. That's really strong. Okay. Well, that didn't work. I threw the devil's horse, and that wasn't so bad because that's working it real slow again. So again, my arms bother me. Boy, I just said, I'm trying to get a film for you all to see. I'm trying to put some patterns together. I just can't catch them. Well, I said, well, let me go back to that, at least with this little Senko rig. At least with this, my arm is kind of sore. And this is a light. I got a light little leader, and I got some braid on here. This is 30-pound braid, and it's about a 17-pound leader, I think. And that's just a regular 3/0 EWG hook. And right away I started catching them. And the neat thing about this Senko, now you know you've used Senkos before, and you know I do. You lose a lot of Senkos to bass, but with the O-ring setup, you don't hardly ever lose them, because what happens, I caught 3 or 4 bass in a row, which is really unparalleled on the same Senko. Anyway, I finally got a film. I caught about 20 little bass, had them up to about 3 pounds. At least I caught fish. And the nice thing about it was I'd been fishing. I hadn't been fishing hardly at all since October. When October I caught the COVID-19, I was sick in bed for a month, and then I had the shoulder operation in the first part of December, and I've been laid up. So I started making turkey calls. Hey, let me just show you what kind of my progress here. What I'm doing, because see, I can do that with my shoulder. I mean, I can run my machines and stuff. Now, just this week, I've had orders for all these calls, and so I've just built a whole bunch of them. Now, right out here, I got some. I have to finish these. I got some finish I'll put on them. I'll put all sorts of. See, here's just a few of them. Now, here's what I do when I get them to sell, and I got orders for a whole bunch of them, and so I got to paint the body up yet. Anyway, all these turkey calls I have to go ahead and. These are all just perfect calls. I mean, they're all really good. Now let's go inside and just show you. That's just what I made in the last couple of days. That's like 15 of them. But anyway, I'm getting orders like right and left, or left and right. And I'm sending out, I guess tomorrow, a bunch of orders. And these are just some of them. And these are done. All these calls are ones that people have ordered, and they're completely done. What I've done with this is this is a butternut paddle. This is the replica of the Neil Koss call. And this looks exactly the same size. The dimensions are exactly the same. Everything I've got a finish on here now. It's taken a couple days to dry, but that's a real good waterproof finish. And then I got the lid. But this is kind of cool when people order these things. I put on the lid with a marker. I'll put information on there. I don't know if you can half read it. Maybe you can read it. Here's a cherry wood. The cherry one looks better. And see, I talk about this is the John Moglen. And then I talk all about where I got the wood. I talk about the call itself and how I learned how to make calls and about the sound. Okay. Again, I got these calls here all ready to send. So that's my step. Now, when it takes a long time. Here's the problem with a call. I got machinery to help make it, and I can carve these things out. Here's a box that's carved, but it's not tuned at this point. By the time I cut it out, I got to come in and sit down, and I got these little sanders, and I got to sit here, and I got to tune each one of them. I got to shave the sides off. And it's really hard to get the tone right, because when you first make one and you put the lid on it, it doesn't sound like this. I mean, it sounds terrible. So you got to either shave the lid off, or you got to do something, or you throw them away. I got a bunch of them here. That's like 10 of them. They look fine. They're too low. The tone, I did something wrong, and the tone is too low. Once the tone gets too low on the sides, you can't bring it back. You can't get the tone up again. So they're basically no good. So I don't know what it costs in time and effort, but for me to make that and then have to throw it away, I've spent an hour wasted in doing it. But I got a half a dozen of them or so out of about 25 that I've just made just in the last few days. So that's not too bad. Anyway, I'm really doing well with the turkey call business, and if you're interested, I have my wife Judy has a deal. Judy M at Fishing with Roland Martin. That's how you get in touch with me about a turkey call. Judy M at Fishing with Roland Martin. Here's some more calls that I'm making. These are all calls that. Now see, again, that's all done except for the top finish, and then I'll have to put the person's name on it. I'll personalize it here, but this call's ready to go. And it's just all. That's a good sound of call, but it's different than this one. This one's a little lower. Not bad, but turkeys are different. I mean, all the turkeys aren't the same, but they do have the raspy tone, a long distance call that the box call is so famous for. Well, anyway, that's what my week's been doing. Right now, I got to go and get some more wood and do all kind of stuff, and I'm hard. I'm getting my shoulder in shape, and maybe tomorrow I'll go fishing again. So in the meantime, hey, thanks for watching, and thanks for subscribing. If you're interested in a turkey call, get a hold of us at Judy M at fishingwithrolandmartin.com. Hey, thanks for watching, and boy, I tell you what, folks, it's a lot of fun doing the YouTube stuff, and that's what's happening in my world. We'll see you again soon.